Welcome. My name is Chuck Ridgway. I'm the Automation Technology Manager here at Horner, and we'd like to welcome you to another live stream this week. This week's program is the first in what we think will be several regular programs in which we talk about different tips and tricks when it comes to working with our Horner OCS All-in-one Controllers. And as always, joining me today, Mr. Casey Gardner. How we doing, Casey?
Hey, not too bad. How's it going, Chuck?
It's going pretty good. And let's see this week if we can be successful in giving a shout out to Marcy Tyree, who's also joining us. Are you there, Marcy?
I'm here, Chuck.
Oh, we are already ahead of last week from a technical standpoint. Yeah,
Three's better than two.
Exactly. We had her locked out last week and had no clue. So she got to sit in the green room through the whole show last week. Anyway, let's get back to today's topic. So, Casey, certainly I would say online editing or online programming, as it's sometimes called, would be I guess that would qualify as a feature that not everybody is aware of. Would you say that?
Oh, absolutely. I kind of forget it's there half the time. So that's definitely a hidden one for sure.
Exactly. So that's a feature that you often see in a traditional PLC, where you've got a separate PLC and a separate operator interface, very often on even mid-size and larger PLCs sometimes, instead of the lower end ones. Any of the PLCs you work with in the past, besides, of course, those from Horner, ever feature that feature?
Yeah, it's I can't say it's hugely common, but it's definitely one that's up there that having that kind of support is definitely nice to have, especially when you have a machine that you don't necessarily want to take offline and set a bunch of alarms off. It's a good one to kind of ease that transition between programs.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and jump right into the topic. All right, so online editing. Well, for those of you who have been sitting here for the last 30 seconds while Casey and I have been chatting, wondering what the heck online editing was, we're going to answer that question for you right now. So what we've been talking about with online editing or online programming really is the ability to modify the program that's running in a controller, whether you're talking about a PLC or one of the Horner OCS All-in-one Controllers, without actually stopping the controller, without putting it in idle mode. So as Casey was just talking about, if you've got a machine that's on the floor, it's running, you don't want to set off a bunch of alarms, you just need to make a simple change. You'd like to do it more or less on the fly. Doing it via online editing is definitely a way to do it. And that's the capability, as I mentioned, that we've had here with our Horner All-in-one Controllers, at least from the XL4 on up. So you won't find this in the XLT and the XLE that we've got pictured here on the screen. You also won't find it in our Micro series, but certainly in our mainline XL series products, you'll definitely see it for sure. So let's talk about more or less how that works. Okay, so the way this is able to work is that every OCS that supports this feature has two identical areas where programs can reside. They have a runtime area that we're showing here on the right, which is the program that's currently being executed by the OCS controller. And then they have an identical area that is separate, that is a download area. So if you need to make an online change, then you can download the changed program, if you will. And we're just talking about logic right now. We're not talking graphics, just talking logic. So you can download those logic changes into the download area, and Cscape handles that for you. And then once that is complete, then you can switch. Okay, with the press of a button from Cscape, the programs immediately switch. So there's no stop involved. Effectively, the program is executed, the residing runtime program is executed, and then the switch happens, and then the very next instant at the top of the next scan, the downloaded program is now executed. And in the case of advanced ladder, whether it's advanced ladder that's register-based or advanced ladder with tags, we also have this nifty feature called abort. So if the online change that you made did not go as you had planned and you'd prefer just to go back to the previous one as soon as possible, we've got a switch that allows you to do that. So that's a handy feature if, again, the change that you made wasn't quite what you had hoped. All right, so that's how online editing works. Now let's show you how to do that. And we're going to start out with advanced ladder. So let's start with advanced ladder, whether you're talking about advanced ladder with tags or whether you're talking about the traditional register-based advanced ladder. Let's take a look at how this works. Okay, so we're going to, I think you're going to be able to tell we're live this week. We had a little glitch with Marcy's audio last week. We're probably going to have all kinds of glitches this week, but hey, what the heck? That's why we're going live, giving you an opportunity to ask questions, giving us an opportunity to mess up, and that's always fun. But what we're looking at here is probably the simplest program I've ever written for an OCS all-in-one controller, and you can see this XL4 4-inch OCS controller that I've got in the inset there. And this is the massive program we have running here. So we've got a single contact, always on, that effectively turns on a motor. All right, and then that also lights up a LED icon on the front of the screen. So let's say we're just going to make a simple change, and instead of having the motor running all the time, let's just go ahead and make it never run. So let's first show a traditional program download. So what I'm doing here is a traditional program download, not an online edit or an online change. I hit the download button. All right, I'll just go ahead and proceed. All right, so you'll notice as this happens that it's not a seamless process. You can see that the screen was interrupted while we are doing this download. It's actually been interrupted for several seconds now, and now it's done. So we're back into run mode, and you can see because of the fact that we changed this contact that now instead of this motor being always on, it's never on. Let's go ahead and change it back again using this same method. All right, I've got to toggle it. And this time I'm going to show you the system menu so you can take a look at the status while we do the download. So if you can see there towards on the second line of that OCS system menu, you can see the status is in run, and right below that it tells you what the scan rate is. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do another traditional download. Keep your eye on that OCS system menu. You'll see it briefly go into idle, and then you'll see the screen change. So that's kind of even more confirmation that we've gone from run mode into idle mode. All right, so we're just continuing on with this same simple download. Okay, so now let's repeat this process, but let's do it instead using online edit mode or online programming mode. So how does that work? Well, up here, I have turned on the online editing icons in my View Toolbars section. You'll see there under Online Change, you'll see that's on there, that's selected. Okay, so that brings up actually 3 icons here, and the first one actually puts you into online change mode. So when I press that button, as you can see, I'm going to connect and allow online changes to occur. All right, it gives me yet another warning that we are entering online change mode. Do I wish to continue? The answer is yes. Now, one thing that you may notice, if I point it out to you here in the lower right-hand corner, is that my R for target 253R or run mode has changed to an S. S is in Sam. I'm not sure what S stands for, but you'll see that every time you go into online change mode. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and make this same simple change I did before. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and start off with what we did before, just show the screen. Now you'll notice my upload and download buttons, they're not there anymore. Okay, they're gone, or they're at least grayed out. So you'll notice then that we don't use the traditional download button to do the programming change in online editing mode. Instead, we have a special download button here right next to the online change icon. So I'm going to go ahead and press that. Okay, just about as fast as it could flash across your screen, you saw the change that we made there, the download that we made there. So much faster, as you can see. I'm also getting this message up here that's telling me that the modified program has been downloaded, and basically as soon as I hit OK, it's going to switch to the new program. All right, and when it switches to the new program, instead of that light and that motor being on all the time, it's going to be off all the time. So I'm going to hit OK, and boom, there we go. All right, so as I think you can see, it's pretty straightforward. this process of online change. Another thing I will point out here quickly is this is our abort button, or basically our oh darn button. If I were to press this button right now, it's going to go back to the program I had in there before I did the online change. So I'll go ahead and press this, and boom, seamlessly, now I'm back running my original program. Okay, so that's the online change mode. Now, when we're done with online change mode, all right, I'm going to go ahead and exit it by pressing this button here, and away we go. All right, so that's really pretty straightforward. And this is, again, how we do online change with the advanced ladder with or advanced ladder with tags, either one that you would prefer. Okay. All right, so the next thing I would like to show you is I would like to show you how online editing works with IEC, or with our other tag-based language, which is advanced ladder with tags. Okay, so what I've shown you is the register-based online editing. I may not have been perfectly clear before. What I showed you is the register-based advanced ladder. Next, I'm going to show you what the method is, and it's not exactly the same with the variable-based advanced ladder. So let's move over and take a look at that next. All right. So to show you this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a short video, which is part of the video series that our global Horner team put together to help our beta users who are currently beta testing Cscape 9.9 Service Pack 4. So if any of you would like to participate in that beta test, which will be running for a couple more weeks, you're more than welcome to. Feel free to put a comment down below in the comments area, or send us an email. However you'd like to get in touch with us, we'll be more than happy to let you know what's involved in becoming a beta tester. But anyway, our global team created the video series highlighting different features in Service Pack 4, helping beta testers learn about the feature and then also learn how to use it. And I'm going to play the feature or the video for you that talks about online editing with our enhanced IEC programming language. The reason that the reason I'm showing this to you is because it's a new feature that won't be released until Service Pack 4 for our IEC languages. So let me go ahead and get that started. And I might stop the video periodically to also kind of reiterate some of the points. So let's go ahead and get started with that.
To create an environment for online change, go to Tools and click on Enhanced IEC Project Settings. Now click on Options and then double click and activate Online Change. For each data type, a maximum size of allowed memory needs to be declared. This can be done either by value or by margin percent.
Okay, so my sound has been muted. I apologize for that. What I'm doing here is I'm just stopping periodically to add a little bit of additional explanation. Okay, so in the IEC languages, or the enhanced IEC, you have to first enable or activate the online change mode. So that's what he's done here with the first part of this process. All right, when you create a new program in Cscape, you can always choose between advanced ladder, this variable based or tag based, as we sometimes call it. And then also with, you have your choice of selecting the IEC programming language in terms of logic configuration. And when you select IEC with Service Pack 4, you also have the ability to enable some enhanced features, including online change. So once you've activated, that's the first step. Now the next step is effectively what you have to do is you have to make sure or allocate extra variable space, because with IEC or advanced ladder with tags for that matter, your new program that you change or the changes that you make to your program may involve adding variables. It could involve deleting variables. It could involve a whole variety of different things. So we need to make sure that, for instance, that there's enough Boolean variables available to add, there's enough integer variables available to add, or space at least, so that as you make changes, the controller is already allocating space for them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the video here. So he's showing you how you can add extra space or allocate extra space for variables so that when you make a change, they'll be, the OCS will have the ability to execute the change.
I will change one of the variables. For example, the int or real variables. I'm increasing the size of this variable to 10 and clicking apply. The value 1 indicates the number of this variable type is already in use. I'm going to select all the variables using the shift click and increase to 100%. And now all the program variable sizes are increased.
Okay, so really what he's done here is he did a shift click to highlight all the different categories or all the different variable types, and then he effectively typed in 100%. And basically what that means is if you've allocated 4,000, or I'm sorry, if your current program is using, let's say 4,000 Boolean variables, and you click 100%, you've effectively add 100% margin so that you could literally double the amount of variables that you're using of each type, and then you'd have no problem with your online change. So that's what he's done here.
I'm going to close this window and click OK. After configuring the maximum allowed memory size, the application needs to be compiled and should be downloaded to the OCS to validate the settings.
So the first step after you've enabled online programming is you have to download the fact that the OCS supports online programming. You also have to download your allocated variables that we just handled on the last dialog box. And this has to have, and this will actually stop the controller the first time when you do this download. But from that point forward, when you're in online programming mode, the controller will not stop. It'll make the changes without stopping.
Now, I download the compiled application to the controller, and after downloading the application, both the OCS and Cscape are ready for online programming. Once online change settings are downloaded to the controller, we can create new variables in the program variable list.
Right, so in addition to just making changes to your existing logic with existing variables, you can create new variables because we've allocated space for them.
Let's create a new variable of bool type. Any new variables created are highlighted in blue in the program variable list with the attribute added. We can also delete any newly created program variables. These variables are then highlighted in red with the attribute deleted. To demonstrate online programming, I will create a program variable of type dint. I will rename this program variable as btestonlinechange, and I will write some simple logic where I will increment this variable by 1. This program variable as btestonlinechange.
Okay, so his example that is showing us how online change works, his logic example is he's actually adding some structured text logic to his system here. And one of the advantages of IEC is that in addition to ladder, you've also got other languages available as well, including structured text. And that's what he's using here as his example.
And I will write some simple logic where I will increment this variable by 1. To update this logic on the OCS, go to Debug and click on Debug/Monitor. Now Cscape will download the changed program variable list to the controller.
Okay, so here's a significant difference that we should point out, right? If you remember correctly with our advanced ladder, the register-based advanced ladder, we literally had a special button to press to do our download during the online change mode. Well, with IEC, we also have a button that we press to do the online change, but it's literally just the debug button. See what happens next.
If a large number of program variables are created, then this may take a few minutes to download to the controller. Cscape will verify the program variable list.
Okay, again, I'm pausing it a lot here. So this program was just downloaded into that separate area of memory, and now this is the prompting that Cscape is giving as to what the next steps are allowed to be.
Once the program variables are downloaded to the controller, then Cscape will pop up a message indicating a configuration mismatch window, and it will offer 3 options. These are exit, debug, do online change, and debug without online change. To perform an online change, let's click do online change to update the logic in the controller. When the logic is updated in the controller, Cscape will pop up a message, online change completed and OK. So let's click OK, and as you can see, the updated logic is now running and the value is incrementing by 1 each scan. Now exit debug mode. Let's change this logic. Instead of incrementing the value, I will decrement the value. Next, I will click Debug/Monitor to update this logic to the controller. Again, click on Do Online Change. Cscape will pop up Online Change Completed and OK. We can see the value of the program variable bTestOnlineChange is decrementing. This way, online programming can be used to download the changed application without putting the controller in stop mode.
Okay, so hopefully that little short video gave you a flavor not only for how you do online change using our tag-based languages, but also a flavor for the types of video materials that we're making available to our beta testers, for those folks who are kind enough to give us the feedback that we're looking for on Cscape 9.9 Service Pack 4. So that's just an example of one of the video resources that our team has created. Okay, now let's continue on. So everything we've talked about so far has all been about making logic changes. You know, we started off making logic changes with register-based ladder. Then we just watched a short video on how in Service Pack 4, you're going to have the ability to make logic changes on the fly with IEC or enhanced IEC. But what about graphics? Wouldn't it be handy to be able to change out a graphics program without having to stop the controller as well? Well, actually, we do have that capability as well. Let's talk about it. And that is a feature called Live Graphics Update. So yes, we can support that, but with a caveat, and that is that currently it's just our flagship, the 15-inch XL Plus, that is supporting this feature. Although I will say that coming soon with Cscape 10, we're going to be launching some new products that are, I guess you could call little brothers and little sisters to the 15-inch XL Plus that will also have the capability of doing live graphics updates. And that'll be available regardless of the type of logic that you choose to run in your application, whether it's advanced ladder or whether it's IEC. Okay, so in the next part of this, let's go ahead and go to Cscape. Let me show you how this works. Now, because it's not the XL4 that supports this feature, I need to go ahead and bring in my XL Plus And I'm going to have to zoom way out on my overhead camera. So I'm going to bring that in here. All right. And yep, we're zoomed way in. Let's back up a little bit here. All right. So there we go. Let me center that up. All right. So what I have here is I have an XL Plus that I'm showing in the inset. This program isn't doing me much good anymore. This is the XL4 program I was running. I'm going to go ahead and close that down. Don't need to save it. It was just an example. All right, so this is a program now that I have running in the XL Plus. So what I want to show you here is I want to show you the live graphics update feature. Okay, so of course the XL Plus can support online editing of the Logic program as well, so that's not a big deal. It can certainly handle that. But what we're showing here is what if we make a small change to the graphics? Will we be able to download that without stopping the controller? Well, let's see. All right, so what I'm going to do is let's imagine that I've made a mistake here and I have a screen that has been configured for degrees Celsius, and it really should have been degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to go in here and make this simple change of this C character to an F. All right, simple little change here. All right, and the production manager is saying, geez, I really don't want you to shut the line down just to make that simple change, or to stop the controller for even 15 seconds to make that simple change. So we're going to do it with live graphics download instead. Okay, so you can see here's my, in the inset, you can see the XL Plus there, and that it's still running that program with C and where it should be an F. But I'm going to go ahead and change that. So I'm going to hit the download. Okay, well, first thing I better do is I better make sure I'm connected to the right controller. So let's go to Controller Connection Wizard, because I was still connected to my XL4, so that wasn't going to work. All right, I'll change the IP address that I'm talking to. That's my XL Plus. Hit Finish. All right, now we can see not only is our local target run, all that kind of good stuff, but our model is equal and so is our program. Very good. Okay, so we've made the change only in Cscape to change that label from C to F on that temperature in the upper right-hand corner of the inset. Now let's download that change. Now when we go to download the change, okay, Cscape gives us two options. It gives us the normal smart load, download everything, or at least stop the controller and download what's changed, or you can select Live Graphics Update. Okay, now this is important to note. Live Graphics Update, what it's effectively going to be doing is it's going to be downloading just the graphics to a special area of memory of the XL Plus where the graphics are residing, and it's actually going to use an Ethernet protocol called FTP. So that means to take advantage of Live Graphics Update, you need to be connected over Ethernet. Okay, so connected over USB, connected over CAN, connected over serial port for programming purposes. That's not going to work. It needs to be a programming connection over Ethernet. But if I'm in the plant and I'm sitting at my desk and my computer can be on the same network as the plant, then that's probably the most convenient one anyway. Okay, so I'm going to perform the Live Graphics Update. Let's keep a close eye at both Cscape and the XL Plus. Okay. All right. So Cscape's thinking about what needs to change. All right. The XL Plus is still cooking right along without any issues. All right. Keep in mind, there's quite a bit of information that's being downloaded, even though it doesn't appear to be that much because we've changed the graphics in the unit. Okay. Now it's downloading those graphics, and boom, if you just notice, yes, it wasn't speedy, but it was effective. So in the upper right-hand corner now, you can see that we have degrees F instead of degrees C in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, so that's the Live Graphics Update, which is really convenient when you want to make a simple change when it comes to graphics.
Hey, Chuck. I think
Sure.
I've got a question as well.
Fire away.
We're a comment for one of our users' experience. So he says, I've already used the online edit mode and it's very useful. The drawback that I have seen that the program or graphics is not saved after a power cycle. And will this improve in future versions?
Let's see. So from the standpoint of, oh, can't see that very good. I got to change that text color. Remind me of that, Casey. Yes, I mean, there is a process you have to go through for the changes to take. And I apologize you've had that issue in the past. But we'll make sure that that gets taken care of in the future. We'll definitely improve that in the future for sure. So effectively, the step that you need to take is at some point before you power cycle the machine is you need to actually perform a full download for that change to take effect. So I believe that's probably the step that's missing. So we'll double check that and make sure I'm not thinking about that wrong. And then we'll follow up with some notes in the comments. So if you come back to the recording of this live stream, we'll certainly have an answer to that particular comment in the comment section. But thanks for that question. Okay. All right, so the next thing that we thought that we would do, since we've shown you the online change, is we thought we would also talk about another feature, I guess, if you will, or procedure that people like to use when they're using Cscape. And that is they want to, and a lot of people don't know about this, they want to learn about how can I edit my variables outside of Cscape. So obviously I can add variables within Cscape using the tools that Cscape has available. But what if I want to use my text editor? What if I want to use Excel or something similar to that to be able to edit my variables separately? How about that scenario? So that's what I wanted to show next is I wanted to show you just quickly the buttons that you would press to kind of make that happen. So let me go ahead and go here under, first of all, this program we have in front of me here, the one I've been working on with the XL Plus, this is just a traditional advanced ladder, register-based advanced ladder. So with this style of programming, just to refresh your memory, every time you create a variable, you not only create the variable name, but you also have to map it to a specific location in the OCS memory. Okay, so that's the advanced ladder, the register-based advanced ladder. So with this variation of logic, the way that you have the ability to kind of mass edit your variables is to go to the program IO names. All right, and then you can see there's a copy all button here. All right, and so you press the copy all, and then the next step would be to open Excel. All right, let me see if I can get Excel open here. Let's do a blank workbook. Okay, so now I go into my spreadsheet program, in this case Excel, and I'll go ahead and just highlight the first cell in the upper corner here, right click and hit paste. Yeah, let's try paste. Paste options, just regular paste. There we go. Oops. All right, sorry about that. Okay, and what you'll see is it copied in 4 columns. It's not obvious that it's 4 columns, but trust me, it's 4 columns. So what we have here is in the first column is the memory reference. You can see the form it's written in here. The second column is this variable a 1-bit variable, a 16-bit variable, or in the case of double integer and real, is it a 32-bit variable? Okay, and then this is the variable name. Now, Cscape that's register-based also has something called a comment name that not everybody uses, and there are not a bunch of comments in there by default, and that's actually column D. So if I wanted to add a comment, for instance, to one of these existing variables, I could do that. Okay, let's just go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and add a comment. And And this can be typically a longer textual type note. So this will enunciate video errors. Okay. So there's a lot of things you could put in the comment section. I went ahead and filled that one in. And then the other thing we can do is we can actually add additional variables pretty easily, right? I mean, we all have used spreadsheets to the point where we're pretty used to what we can do here. So let me go ahead and hit insert. Let's say I wanted to add in some new variables. Let's say register 101. So I'm just going to type in %R101. I don't need to use all the leading zeros, but I do have to use the percent sign for the memory reference. This is 16-bit, and I'm going to call this, I'll just test variable 1. Okay, and one of the great things about Excel is if your variables have similar names, it's easy to kind of have it follow the pattern. So let's say there's a whole bunch of these in a row. Okay, test variable 4. These are all going to be 16-bit. I could have done this all in one. Oops, sorry. I could have done this all at one time. Sorry about that. My mouse skills are a little lacking today. All right, I'm making this probably more difficult than it should be. Now I'll highlight these two, and this is the point that should be made. There we go. Okay, as you can see, it's pretty easy to make a bunch of variables that are similar and consecutive and that sort of thing. And then what I can do is I can copy these back in again, okay? And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to highlight the new variables. No, let's just do them all because we want to get this comment in there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight first 4 columns, and I'll just go ahead and hit copy. I don't have to do all of them again. I'm just doing them again in this case. Now I'm going to go back to Cscape, and when I hit paste, it's going to paste in these variables. Okay, and you can see that it's added the comment for that one existing variable, and it's added these new additional variables as well. Okay, so that's the kind of easy way, if you will, of editing your variables or adding your variables outside of Cscape if you're still using the register-based version of Cscape. Okay. All right, next let's take a look at what we would do, let's say, with our, if we're using the tag-based variations of logic, you know, the advanced ladder with tags or the IEC languages. So I'm going to create a new program here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and select IEC. All right, so my new program gets loaded, which is basically blank. I'm going to go ahead and move my variable table someplace a little more useful, where I can see it easier, because this is what we're going to be working on next. Okay, so remember from previous webinars and previous live streams that one of the main differences with our tag-based logic variations of Cscape, in terms of the logic style at least, is that we have this program variable tool, or the variable table tool that we use for editing our variables. Okay, so normally if we're going to be adding variables, you know, we're going to be doing something like this. So you can right click and say add variable, and then maybe this is a variable called, I don't know, let's just come up with something. Let's call it pressure, something simple. Let's say that it is not Boolean, but it is an a unsigned integer. Okay, and let's say that there are 4 pressures in a row that we're going to be using a single arrayed variable. So we can do that here. So I've created a arrayed variable called pressure, and there's pressure sub 0 through pressure sub 3, and those represent 4 different pressures that maybe I need to map to a specific memory location if I'm talking about real-world I/O, or if I'm just talking about an internal variable, I don't need to worry about that. Okay, but what if I wanted to do this variable editing in my text editor or in Excel or something instead? Well, you can do that here as well. What you would do is you would highlight the category for the variables that you want to work on. Okay, I'm going to do the global variables. I'll come back to retains in a minute. You right click and you say add or edit variables as text. And then what pops up, I'll move this out of the way, is you actually have 3 different choices or 3 different forms in which to add variables if you wish. You can do it in what's called IEC format. You can see here how these variables are specified. There's XML as an option as well, okay, as you can see here. So if you wanted to add additional variables, you could use your text editor and just follow this XML format. Or you can use the CSV format, which is typically a delimited format. In this case, they're using semicolons. And you can effectively copy this and paste it into Excel. Okay, so you have a variety of ways with the IEC or the tag-based languages to work on the variables outside of Cscape as well. Okay, so that was just a quick tip that I wanted to show you all in terms of if you want to work on your variables outside of Cscape using your favorite text editor or using Excel, how might I go about doing that? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring Casey back in here. Okay, so any other questions or anything you think I missed here, Casey?
I don't think we've got any other questions hanging out there, so I'm not in particular.
Okay.
Definitely have more tips and tricks on the way, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So one thing I wanted to make sure that I reminded everyone is that tomorrow, which for those of you watching on replay, that won't mean anything, but on the 24th of February, 2 o'clock Eastern time in the United States, we have a webinar that will be available. It's a full-blown webinar, not a live stream, so you won't be able to watch it directly from YouTube. And we're going to be talking about high-speed data logging. So not just data logging, we'll be covering the standard data logging, every second, every minute, every 5 seconds, that sort of interval for logging data. But we'll also be talking about different techniques for data logging, at a higher rate or a faster speed. So hopefully that'll be a good webinar tomorrow. Meanwhile, I do also want to remind you to like this video. If you did like it, obviously, hopefully you did. Hopefully you find it as useful content. Also, don't hesitate to subscribe. When you do subscribe, you don't get a bunch of junk mail, but you will be notified every time that we create a new video, especially if you touch the bell, of course. All right. So once again, thank you for joining us today for our live stream. We appreciate all the time that you spent. Look for another live stream a week from today, next Tuesday at same time, same channel. And don't forget, tomorrow, the 24th of February, we've got a webinar on high-speed data logging, hands-on with high-speed data logging. Thanks for joining us.